Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good morning, dear student. This is a series of lecture of subject of organizational behaviors. First of all, I'm conveying my greetings and best wishes. I hope that everyone is fine and healthy. Today we are talking about the remaining portion of the attitudes and behaviors. The lecture 4th we discussed about the attitudes and behavior. Today we're discussing about some difference between attitudes and behavior and how can we differentiate attitude from the behavior and behavior from the attitudes. Once again, if you're facing with any sort of action, any sort of problems, let me remind through the WhatsApp number. On the first slide you can have it from there and contact me. ګران محصلینو که تاسو د هر نوع مشکل سره مخ کیږئ نو کولی شئ د واتساپ تھرو لارې ما سره تاسو په تماس کې شئ تر څو وکولی شم په خپل وخت سره تاسو پوښتنو ته ځواب ووایم او ستاسو مشکلات حل شي. So in the previous lecture we discussed in details about the attitudes and we talked about the types of attitudes. As you know that study of human behavior is very complex and it is affected by different environmental factors. So it is based on various culture factors as well, in which an individual is brought up in various social system in the society in which he is working, in which he is living. So every individual behaves in different manner. So his behavior is individualistic in nature because everyone is distinctive in their behavior. So that is why we say that everyone behavior is individualistic in nature. And therefore that cannot be changed easily without any strong stimulus. It means that we cannot change the behavior of a person without having or implementing a strong stimuli. With a strong stimuli, somehow we can change the behaviors. So there exists a cause and effect relationship in individual behavior. For example, if in organizations, if in one of the organizations pays a good dividends or a good amount of salary to its employees, then the productivity can be improved. This means that the increased productivity is an effect of the receipt of handsome dividends on handsome salary by the workers, divided by the workers in the excellent salary given to the workers. So there are these are monetary in nature. It means we pay them more, so the productivity becomes more in the organizations. So these are monetary in nature, which is extrinsic value additions. Peoples are more prone to change in behaviors, behavior value to intrinsic value. In addition, like recognitions or change in status, it is therefore necessary for the manager just to identify the needs of individuals, the needs of their employees, and evolve such strategies that would give an employee an intrinsic value satisfactions so that the productivity is increased. And individuals are satisfied with a job. They have been assigned the job they have been given to. An individual may be satisfied with subsidized lunch, some extra bonus, some extra monetary rewards, so the organization provide, while the other may be dissatisfied with the menu. For example, the organization is providing the food during lunchtime to the employee. To some of organization may be satisfied, while some of the employee may not be satisfied. Some of the employee may be satisfied from the lunch provided by the organization, and some of the employee may not be satisfied from the lunch that is provided by the organizations. So we say that while the other may be dissatisfied with the menu, with the preparation of food, or with the methods or even timing of the lunch time. So human activities are innumerable. It may be maintenance of machines, delegation of authority, or writing a report on appraisal systems. So in general, it could be both mental and physical process. All the activities of human beings cannot be measured what goes psychologically or inside the thought process of an individual. So an individual cannot be observed. Individual behavior cannot be easily predicted due to interplay of the result of the organization's the facility provided inside the organization. So it means that everyone behaviors is different. So that is why we say if everyone behavior is distinctive in behaviors, so in different situations they behave differently. So for that reasons we can change the behavior of our employee in the organization with a strong stimuli. So that is why today we're discussing about the attitudes and the behaviors. So what is attitude? We discussed in lecture number 4, and what is behavior? We discussed in lecture number 4. Today we are talking about some main difference between these two words. So attitudes is defined by the way we perceive things, and attitudes is a human traits, and behavior implies the actions, the moves, the conduct or function of an individual or a groups towards other persons. A person's conduct is reflected by his behaviors. So attitudes is the way we are perceiving, we're thinking about the things. It's a human traits, while behavior is implies on the actions as a movement or conduct of or function of a person's toward the other persons. So this is from the definition, it is so much clear that what is attitudes and what is behaviors. So at the very beginning, we're having a feelings, a thoughts towards something, towards some place, so towards some objects. But behavior is not the feelings and thought, but this is specifically implies on the actions. What I feeling do I have? What thoughts do I have? Just I'm converting my feelings, I'm converting my thoughts into actions. I'm functioning towards some persons. So that is called my behaviors. Basis of comparison of behaviors, attitudes and behaviors. Now let's see the meaning of attitudes. Meaning of attitudes and meaning of behaviors. So attitude refers to a person's mental view regarding the way he or she thinks or feels about someone or something. So it means it is your mental views about someone, something or some place. It's your feeling about someone. It is about some things, about some place. It's your thinking about someone, about some place or some objects. While behavior is what? That implies the actions. Here we are talking about actions, but in attitude we are discussing about feelings, thinkings. So the thinking's practical shape that we are giving to our thinking, the practical shape that we are giving to our feelings, that is the behavior. So behavior implies the actions, the moves, the conducts or the function of individuals or groups toward the other persons. So, based on attitude, what attitude is based on and what behavior is based on. Attitude is based on experience and observations, while behavior is based on situations. So, we see the situations, according to the situations we are showing the reaction toward someone or some things. But attitudes, it's based on experience and observations. Traits. So, attitudes is human traits. And while behavior is inborn traits of a humans, it is something that is inborn. It is born with the humans. But that is why we can say that attitude can be changed. What is it? Attitudes is a person mindset. It's a person's mindsets. A person mindsets. What the mind you have set towards something. What mind does you have set towards something, some places, some persons. While behavior is an outward expression of your attitudes. When you express your attitudes, when you express your mindsets, when you express your feelings, when you express your thinking, that expression of your thinking, that exposition of your thinking and feelings that is visible to all as a moment of action, as a function of human body, as an action, that is called behaviors. So basis for comparisons on reflex. So attitude, what you think or feel, that is your reflections. You are thinking in your feelings, that is reflecting your attitudes. But what you are doing, that is reflecting your behaviors. So what action you are performing, that is representing your behaviors. So what thinking or what feeling do you have, that is representing, that is reflecting your attitudes. Defined by it. What way we perceive the things, that is our attitudes, and the social norms, that is our behaviors. So the social norms are the accepted values of societies that has been accepted by all in the society, and individuals should follow these social norms in society. It means what is perceived for the betterment of society, what has been felt and what has been thought about the betterness of the society. If that things are been established and that has been established as the social norms of the society, so the social norms of the society should be implemented as an actions, it should be functioned. So that is why we say that attitudes is defined by the things we are perceiving, that the behavior is a social norms. Some key more difference between attitudes and behaviors. So attitudes is defined as a person's mental tendency which is responsible for the way he thinks or feels for someone or something. Bad behavior is imply the actions, it's a move, it's a conduct or function of an individual or a group toward the other persons. The way of thinking or feeling is reflected by a person's attitudes, while a person's conduct is reflected by his behaviors. Third point is, attitude is defined by the way we perceive the things, while the behavior is ruled by social norms. And the fourth point is, attitude is a human trait, while behavior is an inborn attribute. Now, how to change behaviors? If there the way and methods existing in our principle that we can change the behaviors, somehow there are some tips of changing of behavior of humans. So first thing, that if you would like to change your behavior, you have to generate a positive attitudes. For changing a behavior, a positive attitudes is required, because a positive thinking, positive feelings will give you a happy life. So if you're having a positive feelings, a positive thinking, a positive thought has been there in your mind, so it means that you are having a positive attitude. So that positive attitudes, if you generate a positive attitudes, that positive attitudes will generate a positive behaviors. So a change in attitude depends on living a new kind of life. Whatever the negative parts of life may be, you will need to let them go if you are going to develop a better attitudes. It means that it is depending upon the living condition of a person's. If you are living positively with your life, it means you are letting and going ahead with the positive points and positive steps of your life So surely you are developing a positive behaviors in yourself, because you are leaving away, you are going away from the negative aspect of your life. So developing a positive attitudes, generating a positive attitudes will change the behavior of humans. The second thing, that we always should look for the positive. If we are looking for the positive in our day-to-day life activities, it means that psychologically we are comfortable and we are living in a comfortable zone. We are living in a safe zone because the mind has been surrounded with the positivity. So that positivity will give us energy, that positivity will give us life satisfactions, job satisfactions, social interaction satisfactions, because positivity is a sort of a force of energy that's giving to the person to achieve their targets. So that is why we should always look for the positive in our human societies. For example, in the organizations we are working, so many of people from different background, different race and genders, and different colors and language. It means that many of them are having a different cultures, but they are working with us from a very close angles. So having a diversity in the organizations, now the behavior of individual is distinctive in the organizations. Understanding the individual behavior in the organizations, that is the important points for the manager to know about their employee, and how to motivate them for positive behaviors, how to develop a positive behaviors in employee through which we can increase our productivity. So we have to look for the positive aspect of our employees. Sometimes we have to ignore the negativity of their employees. We should take it as a positive, and we have to say that if something has gone wrong with the employees, doesn't matter, let them go, let's go ahead with it, and just call them individually and point the things that you have seen in that employee as a negative aspects and teach them into positivities. But we always should think about a positive things about our employees, our family members, and the societies. It means looking positive is giving you an energy to go ahead and achieve your targets. So look for the positive. To develop a positive attitudes, you should force yourself to notice the good. Someone with a negative attitude can easily find the downside of any circumstances. So share your positive observations with others, and keep negative remarks to yourself. So what good things you are finding in others, and what the positive things you are finding in others, and what the positivity you are having with yourself, just share this with your colleagues, with your other subordinate in the organizations. And what is the negative aspects, what is the negative things in someone, just keep them with yourself. Keep with yourself these remarks. Don't share the negativities or the negativity concept in the organizations, because it will find more conflict in it. But individually, based on individual approach, if you find some negative points in your employees, try to just make and reforms them. Bring some correction in that individually, but not as a whole in the organization. In front of all subordinates, you have to embarrass your employees. So that is what, if you are doing this sort of activity, the employee will get a positive approach and a positive concept from your behaviors, because the employee will be thinking that I did this wrong, but he did not say anything in front of the others. Now he called me to the office and expressed my bad feelings and my bad thoughts and my negativity. So now I am just focusing on the bad things that I'm having, the negative aspect of work I'm focusing on that next time I would not do it. So what you develop in the employees, you develop a positivities. So we have to look for a positivity in the organizations. We have to generate a positive attitudes. So this could help us to change our behaviors. While change your own behaviors, changing of the behavior of others, and the first you have to change your own behavior. For example, if a mother is educating their children, first the mother should behave in a positive way. First he should have to change his and her behavior. If the father is doing such things. So these two parents should, the parents should change their behavior at first, then that positivity will comes in their children's. If the father and mother, their parents are going in the wrong directions, the children are imitating, the children are copying what the father and mother are doing. It means that for changing of the behavior of others, at first we have to change our own behaviors. So set yourself up for success by making sure you have practical ways to reach your goals. You will be better able to keep track of your progress and stay motivated if you stick to one or two small, specific, and achievable goals. Choose behavior that you actually want to change, not just that the other people ask you to change. The fourth point, that is maintaining behavioral changes. All the time we have to maintain and keep this in our mind that we have to change the behavior if that is not good. So observe and record the behavior you are changing. Ask for help if you need it from supportive friends and family members. It means that record your behaviors, what changes you are bringing in your life. But if you at the same time need the support of other people like friends and family, tell them just to observe you and to keep the good parts in you and also to keep the negative parts in you. Then take that with yourself and go ahead with the positive points and leave the negative points back. So experiencing too much stress can keep you from being able to successfully change your behaviors. Continue modifying your behavior. It means that try to continuously just modify your behavior, bring changes in your behaviors. It means that go from the wrong tracks to the right tracks. It means that see what is good for you, see what is positive for you, see what is interesting for you, see what is beneficial and productive for you, for your family and societies. Do that one. If anything is going wrong with you, anything goes in negative way, anything goes in wrong directions, in wrong track, in wrong paths, just let them on the same positions and you just kick them out of your daily life activities and go ahead with the positivities. So this is somehow some of the things through which we can change some behaviors in ourselves, changing the behaviors. But the most thing is that important things is to develop the concept of positivism in ourselves. That could better help us to change the behaviors. Ignore the things that disturb you. And you have to learn the words no instead of yes. For example, if somebody says something to you, say it's no problem, doesn't matter what he says. But if you say yes, why you say like this? You pointed to me, you say to me this. So then what will happen here? The conflict will arise. With a simple point, a big matter will arise. So that is why we see that. We have to be very careful with such thing that is destroying our personalities. So development of the personality is possible of development of your positivity in your minds. So what is the nature of attitudes? So nature of attitudes, it's the feelings or it's the belief of individual and groups. As I mentioned earlier in the first slide, that attitudes is our thinking, feelings and our belief of an individual and groups. It's not an actions. These feelings and beliefs are defined one dispositions toward given aspect of the words, and it is not permanent. It means we can change our attitudes. The feelings and belief could be changed. It is not a permanent thing, so it can be changed. So this is what we see that attitude's nature is. Now if you see these pictures, look at the pictures, how much do you see of an iceberg here in the water? So see, you see a very small portion of iceberg here in this water. So this is your feeling, it's your thinking about that I see a very small portions, but the remaining portion which is under the water that is not visible to us, that is our attitudes. So the thing that is visible to you and the things that is not visible to you. So the remaining portion which is not visible to you, that is your feeling and thinking. That is as an example of an attitudes. At the same time, if you see these pictures, how much do you see of an iceberg in this water? Look, only 10% of an iceberg is visible. Okay, see, this 10% bad, the remaining 90% is below sea level. So look here, this is the attitudes of humans which cannot be easily observed by others, because this is your feelings, this is your thinking. What you feel, what you think, that is your internal process. But what is outside, I see, that is the action, that is the function, that is the movement, that is the conduct, that is a behavior. So this is a clear example of the attitudes toward the things that we are having. At the same time, how much do you see of an iceberg here? Skills and knowledge is known to others is very little. Unknown to other, that is my attitudes. You can see the knowledge and skills of a person, it may be known to other because it's visible, but what is your attitudes, that is unknown to others. So attitudes are unknown to others, it's your feelings, it's your thinking, but the behavior is what that is reflecting and representing your actions, your behavior. So that behavior that you are showing in society or toward the others, what movement you are taking, what functionings are taking place in your societies, what action you are doing. So that portion of your actions in feeling, in conduct, in movement of you is representing your behaviors. But what is attitudes? That is your internal feelings and that is your internal thinking. So this was a very slight lecture and a slight lecture of difference between the attitudes and behaviors. I hope that you have got what I have explained here today. Again, if it is not clear to you, again if there is any misconception that have taken place there, again if there is misunderstanding or there, so let me know on the spot by sharing your views, by sharing your feelings, by sharing your thoughts and questions and problem with me through the WhatsApp number what I have shared in the first slide. So till presenting with next lectures, Allah Hafiz, all the best. Thank you for your patience and attention.